Hello everyone, another brand new day and it's a brand new Friday, April the 12th. The first reading is taken from Acts of the Apostles, of course, and this is the time when Gamaliel stands up. The apostles are standing before them. Gamaliel stands up and says, send them out. And he speaks to them some common sense. You're all familiar with it if you know anything about the Acts. And basically he says, leave them alone, because if this plan or this undertaking is of human origin, it will fail. But if it is of God, you will not be able to overthrow them. In that case, you may even be found to be fighting against God, which they of course were. They were convinced by him, and when they had called in the apostles, they had them flogged. But it's just not working, because the apostles count themselves. The apostles rejoiced that they were considered worthy to suffer dishonor for the sake of the name. Now that doesn't make sense, unless you're a person of faith, man or woman of faith. They consider themselves unworthy, so to be considered worthy to suffer shame or humiliation for the name of Jesus, you gotta believe, right? You gotta believe. And they did believe. The question is, you and I need to believe. We need to believe, so that when we suffer dishonor or disgrace, that we actually embrace it. Doesn't mean we don't react if we can to what's being done to us. Injustices should be addressed. Paul addressed injustices. We have certain rights as citizens, and we have to demand those rights be fulfilled at times. But at the same time, we have to strive, pray for, get to the place where we actually give thanks for suffering. I know it sounds awful, it sounds counterintuitive, but the saints talk about this. And there's actually a real science to the fact that from even natural things in life, if we don't go through sufferings, we should never look for them. They will come looking for us. So those are the kinds I'm talking about. When we suffer in life, we shouldn't actually run away from it. We should try to navigate through it, because they are the very things that help us appreciate the victories in life. And without suffering, or without something in us, pain and so on. For example, the buck would not run from the lion, and it would be lunch, right, rather than free. So it serves a purpose in our life. And the apostles show that forth, and you and I can learn from it in our own personal lives. Okay, we're going to go through John chapter 6. This is John 6, 1 to 5, John 6, 1 to 15. And the people have been with Jesus now for a number of days. When Passover festival of the Jews was near, he looked up and saw a large crowd. And then he says, basically they get bread and fish for him, and he multiplies the fish. When they were satisfied, he told his disciples, gather up the fragments left over so that nothing may be lost. So they gathered them up, and from the fragments of the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten, they filled 12 baskets. And then when Jesus recognized they were going to take him by force to make him a king, he withdrew again to the mountain all by himself. So there's so much going on here. We know what it's leading up to. This unfolding of the 6th chapter of St. John, the Eucharistic Gospel, the Eucharistic chapter within his Gospel. And the superabundance that Jesus provides, we can always reflect on that. 5 loaves, 2 fish, feeds 5,000 men. Then there are wives and children, probably somewhere between 9 and 14,000 people, with 5 loaves and 2 fish. So Jesus actually, his word is creative. In other words, what he says is. So when he says to the bread, multiply, it multiplies. I can't do that. You can't do that. Jesus can do that. He does something even more marvelous in the Holy Eucharist. When he takes bread and he says, this is my body, it becomes his body. Because his word is creative, not just not just transformative, but it's actually creative, right? It creates what it says is. It becomes a reality. And that's what happens here. It's a foreshadow, of course, to the Eucharist, but we're leading up to that. And then, of course, Christ shows that he's not the kind of king that people expect him to be, and he will show this many times until he's ready, not when they want it. So they want to take him by force? No. When he's ready, it will happen, and then he will show them that he is a king, but he's a king who will allow himself to be crucified, so it will be a kingdom of justice and peace, a kingdom of righteousness that will be earned by his own sacrifice on the cross. There's a lot there for you and me to think about. But let us try to spend a bit of time today thanking God for the fact that he is the kind of king that he is. God bless you.